Gilder,
Kurt Besky,
and Mike Stutz present to you Great Expectations, Chapter 4. We meet the Christmas dinner guests, Mr. Wopsle, the parish clerk, Mr. and Mrs. Hubble, a wheelwright and his wife, and Mr. Pumblechook, Joe's uncle, a grain merchant.
I fully expected to find a constable in the kitchen, waiting to take me up. But not only was there no constable there, but no discovery had yet been made of the robbery. Mrs. Joe was prodigiously busy in getting the house ready for the festivities of Christmas.
And where the deuce have you been?
I said I had been down to hear the carols.
Well, you might have done worse.
Joe secretly crossed his two forefingers and exhibited them to me as our token that Mrs. Joe was in a cross temper. We were to have a superb dinner consisting of a leg of pickled pork and greens and a pair of roast stuffed fowls. A handsome mince pie had been made yesterday morning, which accounted for the mincemeat not being missed, and the pudding was already on the boil. My sister, having so much to do, was not going to church, but Joe and I were going. In his working clothes, Joe was a well-knit, characteristic-looking blacksmith. He was more like a scarecrow than anything else. Nothing that he wore then fitted him or seemed to belong to him. As for me, when I was taken to have a new suit of clothes, the tailor had orders to make them like a kind of reformatory, and on no account to let me have the free use of my limbs. Joe and I going to church, therefore, must have been a moving spectacle for compassionate minds. Yet what I suffered outside was nothing to what I underwent within. I was filled with terrors whenever Mrs. Joe went near the pantry, and I was remorseful under the weight of my wicked secret. Mr. Wopsle, the clerk, at church, was to dine with us, and Mr. Hubble, the wheelwright, and Mrs. Hubble, and Uncle Pumblechook, who was a well-to-do grain merchant in the nearest town, and drove his own carriage. The dinner hour was 1:30. When Joe and I got home, we found the table laid, and Mrs. Joe dressed, and the dinner dressing, and the front door unlocked. It never was at any other time, for the company to enter by, and everything was most splendid. And still, not a word of the robbery. The time came without bringing with it any relief to my feelings, and the company came. Mr. Wopsle, besides a Roman nose and a large, shining, bald forehead, had a deep voice, which he was uncommonly proud of. In church, his reading of the Psalms was a performance of dramatic vigor, and he was moreover somewhat given to competition with the minister. He punished the amens tremendously, and when he started the psalm, he always looked around the congregation first, as much to say,
You have heard our friend overhead. Oblige me with your opinion of this style.
I opened the door to the company, first to Mr. Wopsle. Hello, Mr. Wopsle. Next to Mr. and Mrs. Hubble. Hello. And last of all to Uncle Pumblechook. Hello, Uncle, or Mr. Pumblechook. I was not allowed to call him Uncle, under the severest penalties.
Mrs. Joe.
Uncle Pumblechook was a large, hard-breathing, middle-aged, slow man, with a mouth like a fish, dull staring eyes, and sandy hair standing upright, so he looked as if he had just been all but choked, and at that moment come to.
I brought you, as compliments of the season, I brought you, Mom, a bottle of sherry wine, and I brought you, Mom, a bottle of port wine.
Every Christmas day he presented himself as a profound novelty, with exactly the same words, and carrying the two bottles like dumbbells. We dined on these occasions in the kitchen, and adjourned for the nuts and oranges and apples to the parlor. Among this good company I should have felt myself, even if I had robbed the pantry, in a false position. I should not have minded that if they would only have left me alone. But they wouldn't leave me alone. They seemed to think the opportunity lost if they failed to point the conversation at me, every now and then, and stick the point into me. It began the moment we sat down to dinner. Mr. Wopsle said grace with theatrical declamation, and ended with "Be truly grateful," upon which my sister fixed me with her eye, and said in a low, reproachful tone,
You hear that? Be grateful.
Especially, be grateful, boy, them who brought you up by hand.
Joe always aided and comforted me when he could, in some way of his own, and he also did so at dinner time by giving me gravy, if there were any. There being plenty of gravy today, Joe spooned into my plate, at this point, about half a pint.
He was a world of trouble for you, ma'am,
said Mrs. Hubble, sympathizing with my sister.
Trouble? Trouble?
and then entered on a fearful catalogue of all the illnesses I had been guilty of, and all the acts of sleeplessness I had committed, and all the high places I had tumbled from, and all the low places I had tumbled into, and all the injuries I had done myself, and all the times she had wished me into my grave, and I had stubbornly refused to go there. Everybody looked at me with indignation and abhorrence.
Have a little brandy, Uncle?
Oh, heavens! It had come at last. He would find it was weak. He would say it was weak, and I was lost. I held tight to the leg of the table with both hands and awaited my fate. My sister went for the stone bottle, came back with the stone bottle and poured his brandy out, no one else taking any. The wretched man trifled with his glass, took it up, looked at it through the light, put it down, prolonged my misery. All this time Mrs. Joe and Joe were briskly clearing the table for the pie and pudding. I couldn't keep my eyes off him. I saw the miserable creature finger his glass playfully, take it up, smile, throw his head back, and drink the brandy off. Instantly the company was seized with unspeakable consternation, owing to his springing to his feet, turning around several times in appalling whooping cough dance, and rushing out at the door. He then became visible through the window, making the most hideous faces, and apparently out of his mind. I held on tight while Mrs. Joe and Joe ran to him. I didn't know how I had done it, but I had no doubt I had murdered him. In my dreadful situation, it was a relief when he was brought back, and surveying the company all around, as if they had disagreed with him, sank down to his chair with one significant gasp.
Tar.
I had filled up the bottle from the tar water jug.
Tar? Why, however could tar come there?
But Uncle Pumblechook, who had the complete run of our kitchen, wouldn't hear the word, wouldn't hear of the subject, imperiously waved it away with his hand, and asked for hot gin and water. My sister now had to employ herself actively in getting the gin, the hot water, the sugar, and the lemon peel, and mixing them. For the time, at least, I was saved. I still held on to the leg of the table, but clutched it now with the fervor of gratitude. By degrees I became calm enough to release my grasp and partake of pudding. Mr. Pumblechook partook of pudding. All partook of pudding. I began to think I should get over the day, when my sister said to Joe,
Clean plates. Cold.
I clutched the leg of the table again immediately. I foresaw what was coming, and I felt that this time I was really gone.
You must taste.
Said my sister, addressing the guests with her best grace.
You must taste. To finish with, a pie. A savory pork pie.
My sister went out to get it. I heard her steps proceed to the pantry. I saw Mr. Pumblechook balance his knife. I heard Joe say,
You shall have some, Pip.
I felt that I could bear no more, and that I must run away. I released the leg of the table and ran for my life. But I ran no further than the house door, for there I ran head foremost into a party of soldiers with their muskets, one of whom held out a pair of handcuffs to me, saying,
Here you are! Look